Good morning. I appreciate everybody coming out today. It's Monday, December 5th, the regularly scheduled commission meeting. We're here in the commission chambers. I'd like to welcome everybody out and just ask if you'd turn your phones off or put them on silent. We will start out today with a prayer from Gabby Blackburn and the pledge from Tanya Craven.
Maybe you better have oh, there she is.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Gabby. Next would be the approval of the minutes from the November 28, 2022 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't here, but I read over the minutes, and I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from November 28, 2022.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next would be the report of the warrants, review of counter signatures and certified list of claims.
Commissioners, I have warrants from December 1st in the amount of $589,537.49. There were several big ones on here. First one is Central Dispatch. We paid our Central Dispatch for $88,725. Came out of the sheriff's budget on that one. Also, there is a check here to PNC Capital for $97,503. We had to void that check because the invoice was incorrect. So that will, and since we couldn't create, modify, or delete any entry, we had to print it, and we voided that check, and it will be reissued in an upcoming check run. The next one is...
Can
Yep.
I ask you, let's talk about this one for a minute.
Okay.
So there was one for $93,603.33.
Right.
That one is correct.
That was correct, but the next one was on the same check for $3,900, and it should have been $3,000.
$3,025 something.
Yeah. But we did not receive any confirmation from Lewis and Young or PNC until after the check had already been printed, so we were unable to go back and rechange anything.
But they were separate POs, correct?
Separate POs, but they came out on the same check.
So what do we need to do to? They're not going to wait another week without charging us fees, the same as we were hit on this referendum that came out. This whole setup didn't need to happen, but it did. It cost us $135,000. So how are we going to fix this problem today?
We won't be able to fix this problem today.
We have a special meeting tomorrow?
We do a check run until Thursday again. So that's where we're at. We've received the one invoice. We have it ready to process again. It's been getting, the $93,000 has been given back to the grants department to process that one. And I understand there's another one coming, but I have not seen the next. Actually, I have seen it. It's waiting for your signature to be processed back through.
So the one that was done correctly, we can't pay the $93,000?
No, it was all on the same check
Why was it on the same check?
because it was the same vendor.
But it was two different purchase orders?
But it went to the same vendor. We don't bill a check for this one and bill another check for the other one. Both of them's on the same check. So that's why that check was voided. It was for the incorrect amount. And when I talked to Lewis and David Robertson, he didn't seem like he had any problem waiting until this next check run. In fact, I told him it'd be next week's check run.
Is he with PNC?
He is with Lewis and Young.
Yeah, he's not, he can't speak for PNC. PNC's
Okay.
the ones that had the carrying costs. So in no circumstances over the years have you ever done a special check run or?
Oh, we've done special check runs in the past, but we've discontinued them probably 5-10 years since we've done a special check run for one check. So the next check on this one is the check to Vernal City for $256,000. This was the land purchase. Do you want me to go ahead with the next, with the two claims? Because I pulled the claim on the PNC because the check wasn't written, so that'll be on the next claim when it comes through again.
Just for the record then, there's nothing we can do to pay these guys.
No.
What was that?
No, not until the next check run goes through.
If the, just to try and shore up any losses that we've been incurring for quite a while, if the commission were to hold a special meeting and then authorize a check run.
Well,
on
we
that-
know
on
the
that
number
check
right
this
now.
week.
We know the number right now, what it is. It's the 93.
Yeah, we've received the new revised invoice.
Yeah,
It still needs to be signed. At least the one I've seen has not been signed by Commissioner yet.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure we limit our damages on an otherwise authorized purchase. So is there anything that can be done this week to make sure that we can get that out to limit any additional fines or fees from PNC?
I know that because I can't create it, the original 93,000 has been put down there, and the additional 3,025.14, it just needs to be signed and sent down to be paid.
So then can we get a special agenda and have approval of warrants then on that, and then get it out the door so we're not incurring any more costs?
That's what I'm saying, but he said they're
Yeah,
not doing a check.
I don't know
run.
that
Do it this
PNC's,
Thursday.
I have not spoken with
go this
PNC. I've spoke with David Robertson. The attorney, I spoke with Eric Johnson on it. He said speak with David Robertson, so I spoke with David Robertson, and he's one called back and said, yep, that is the incorrect amount. It needs to be $3,025. And I told him, okay, I will void that check, and it'll be in next week's check run. And he said there'd be no problem with that, so that's where I've left it.
Okay.
Well, when we closed on the T-bonds to pay off the debt, the agreement was that this carrying cost would be paid at that time, and we made an agreement with them at that time that it would be paid at this check run. So there'll be another week on the $130,000 or the 100.
But they shouldn't have any additional costs because they're not packing anything anymore.
Yeah, we're hoping not.
Yeah.
Could David confirm that with PNC for us, or otherwise I think we need to call a special meeting and get a check out.
Impression
the
I
door.
got from David that he had spoken to them, but I don't know. I do not know. I can't speak for him. I just know that's what he told me.
Okay. I think if he can confirm in writing that we're not going to incur any additional costs from PNC, then yeah, fine, let's wait another week. But if we are, then I would advise that we get a special meeting called, we get that approved on a one-item warrant list, I guess, and get the payment sent out.
Well, I can make a phone call and see where we sit and go from there. But Mike said that there's no way we can do a special.
Well,
Check
it's not a
runs.
check run, but there's a check run coming this
Yeah, there's a check
Thursday.
run coming this week that'll be in it. That was the intent, is it would
Well,
be in this
that's
next
my
one.
question is, can we approve the right amount right now with this warrant? Can we approve the right amount and so they can at least get it Thursday when the check run happens instead of on Tuesday of next week?
I see no problem with that one.
Okay.
Do you have that other, it's 3,000,
3,025.14
And
plus the
14 cents.
93,000.
Plus the 93,000.
33. So we need that in the motion,
Well,
in the
do we-
motion on the certified,
Since it-
because you're bringing a certified list of claims, correct?
right. But it's not one of them because that check was void. So it'd be, but if you want to do that, we can do that one.
Don't we just sign like we do anything else that goes through the
Yeah.
check run? You just
And then we send them.
authorize it and turn it in, and it will be in Thursday's check run. So I don't think it needs to have any special.
Okay. Sounds good. Cool. What other?
The other two we have here is check number 383230 to B&D Services for $7,400 for a trailer for the search and rescue. There was no bids done on that one. Check number 383278 to Robert Thomas CPA for $5,000, and this had to do with the defeasant also. And it's been written and just need approval.
Is the sheriff here? Can you come up to the?
It is out of their trust funds.
Sheriff Abram. I was told I didn't have to get a bid because it was out of the trust, so we bought it out of the trust.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I see on the check run, it was two B&D movers, so I suspect that was my boys' business. It's the B&D Services, I don't know who that is.
B&D RV Center.
Okay.
So she
All right.
just wrote
I'll
it
have to
wrong on
recuse
this one.
myself.
It says B&D movers on the check run.
Let me clarify, the unit bought that out of their trust fund.
Well, it's also below that, the limit. Okay.
And those are the only claims, Commissioners.
Okay. Okay, with that discussion.
Okay, Mr.
Entertain a
Chairman, I
motion.
make the motion to authorize countersignature of the certified list of claims as presented.
And you're
I
accusing
recuse
yourself,
myself.
so I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Ready for cemetery certificates?
Yeah, cemetery
I
certificate.
have one today, Rock Point Cemetery, Jose Serena and Rosa Serena. This is in Phase 2 of Rock Point Cemetery, Block 336, Lot A, spaces 13 and 14. And that's the only one.
Okay,
Okay, Mr.
entertain a
Chairman,
motion.
I'd make the motion that we approve the cemetery certificates as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Tax matters today?
I have two centrally assessed tax matters. The first one is with Honan Equipment. This is on personal property. For 2022, the state has revised their value from the original value of $131,307 down to $125,701, difference of $5,606 for a refund of $56.97. And we want to point out that's personal property account number 4883 in Tax District 1 for $56.97.
Okay. Any questions? Entertain a motion.
So that's business personal property.
That was business personal property.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the refund to Honan Equipment in the amount of $56.97 on their, based on a change in value of their business personal property.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
And one more for CenturyLink. This is a state appeal also. This involves years 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. We can handle this refund as 91 cents for those 4 years.
Okay. You entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the CenturyLink refund for 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 for the amount of 91 cents.
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Any other tax matters today? Wendy? No tax matters? Business licenses.
Good morning, Gabby Hawks Blackburn with Community Development. We have two today. One is commercial and one is home-based, so it's probably best to hear them separate if that's all right.
Be great.
We'll start with Advanced HVAC LLC, located at 567 North, 2425 West, parcel number 489-210. This is in the R3 zone. It's a townhome, but the home will only be used as a home-based office. This is a HVAC company. They do have a contractor's license with the HVAC qualifier. However, obviously no work will be done at this location. This will just be the home-based office. So we recommend approval of this business license with the condition that they follow all home-based business rules and regulations.
Okay. Any questions? Concerns? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the business license, home-based business license for Advanced HVAC LLC, with the understanding they abide by all home-based rules and regulations.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
And then the next one is Price Pumping, located at 630 East, 500 South, parcel number 5484 in the I-1 zone. This is a Division 2 license, and they actually had a business license and then went too long without having it renewed, so they're reapplying. We had fire, building, and health go check it out. Everything looks good there. This is within the airport overlay, and so we talked with the airport manager, and he said that as long as no vehicles or equipment on the property are taller than the main building, they should be good to go. And so we recommend approval of this business license with the condition that they follow all Tri-County Health, Fire Department, Uintah County Building Department, and Sheriff's Department rules and regulations, and that no vehicles or equipment on the property are taller than the main building without first obtaining approval from the airport.
Okay. Any questions? Entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Price Pumping business license application as presented with all the rules, regulations that have been stated.
Okay. I have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gabby. Genesis contract for the mass notification. Heidi was going to be here to present this. She is not able to be here today. John, have you had a chance to read over this contract?
Tegan's been working on this and confirmed by email that she's worked all of her edits that she needed into the agreement.
So we're good to go with this addition, okay. Well, I have it here, so, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the contract, authorize the contract with Genesis for the mass notification emergency management as submitted, including authorization of signature.
Second.
Have a motion and a,
Mr. Chair, just for clarity, I was just scrolling down to the exhibits. It's a total, it's a 5-year contract, total $55,000. Payment schedule is $11,000 per year.
That's right.
And this is, I believe this is to be replacing Code Red as our mass notification.
and this is the one that we're Uintah County, Duchesne County, and Daggett County, all three,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
I believe so. I apologize. I wasn't the one personally looking at this, but yeah, at the top, it has all 3 counties listed.
Okay,
So, yeah, I should have mentioned the cost, 55,000 total over 5 years, 11,000 per year, and there's probably, there's a funding clause in the contract that says we have that as long as the funding is there, including authorization of signature, again.
okay. You want to second that?
Second.
Amended motion. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Mike, this contract has a place for us to sign and then Duchesne County and Daggett County. Do you want to take a copy and then we'll give it to Heidi and she can take it to the others? Okay. All right. It'll be in the file of papers. Okay, we need to move the John Wesley Powell update for 10 minutes, so we'll go to the next one. Forest Service Snow Grooming Agreement.
Good morning, Scott Hardman, Road Department. Looking for a signature on an agreement between the Forest Service, Uintah County, and Daggett County for the snow groomer and grooming the trails. A couple of the changes that are, it's the same as it's always been, with the exception of the funding is the numbers and the total operating cost actually went down a little bit. Administrative changes, there's a new program contact for that. And then just the dates went from 2021 to 2021 to 22 to 2022 to 23. So
Okay.
everything else is the same.
Okay.
And what was the amount again
The amount for
On the contract.
in the agreement, or is there?
we get $1,500 per year, but as far as the totals, $4,099.83.
Okay. John, are you good with that agreement?
I was able to review this morning, and it's fine.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Forest Service snow grooming agreements with the recommended day changes and amounts as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. John, we want to go right to 11:30?
I sent the other attorney a text and said we'd be ready at 11:30, so,
Okay.
and he gave me a thumbs up, so we could probably just keep going down until we get to, yeah.
Okay. Matt, memorandum of understanding between the BLM, White River Field Office, Uintah County for the Wolf Creek Reservoir Project in Colorado.
Okay, thank you. Matt Kazir with Community Development. This is a memorandum of understanding with the Bureau of Land Management, White River Field Office out of Colorado. This is to be a cooperating agency for the Wolf Creek Reservoir Project that will be happening near Rangeley on a tributary of the White River called Wolf Creek. So they're in the process right now of developing a environmental assessment, an environmental impact statement, EIS. And so this will just give us a cooperator status and allow us to make comments on this project and let them know of anything that might affect our county as the White River flows through Uintah County. So let's see, the contact person on this is myself, so they'll contact me with any of the information, and then I'll distribute it through the commission. And I know John had sent an email saying that he would like to know about stuff as well, so I'll get that out as it becomes available.
Sounds good. Any further questions? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the entry of Uintah County into the MOU with the BLM White River Field Office for the Wolf Creek Reservoir Project, including authorization of signature and designation of Matt Kazir as the point of contact.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thanks, Matt. I think we got time to do the next one. The Resolution 12-5-2022 R1, dissolving the Uintah Recreation Special Service District.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion to the Resolution 12-5-2022 R1, dissolving the Uintah Recreational Special Service District.
Okay. Have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Do you want me to hit a little
Yes,
bit
if you
of
would.
the substance of it?
I'm throwing it out there.
Okay. All right. So the form of it follows the one that was approved previously for impact mitigation. it does state a little bit of the history of the first resolution that was passed on November 9th, 2020, and then on March 22nd, 2021, in consolidating the three impacted districts and then establishing Special Service District Number 1. We received notification from Recreation District. They had one remaining payment on an outstanding loan with CIB of, I think it was $73,000, if I remember. Don't quote me directly on that amount, but they made their final payment to CIB, so that takes care of any outstanding financial obligations that the rec district would have. And so now before the commission, it stated in section 1, the Uintah County Board of Commissioners hereby dissolves Uintah Recreation Special Service District effective December 31st, 2022. And then also states that all funds, monies, assets, tangible or intangible, shall be transferred from Uintah Recreation Special Service District to Special Service District Number 1, or as name may be amended, just so the commission knows, under state statute, the Special Service District Number 1 can change their name. They have to go through a public hearing process, and they took that action to send out that notice. So I wanted to make sure that we just said if they change their name, the intent is still the same.
Okay.
And then it has, if all the transfers can't be effectuated by December 31st, 2022, this resolution authorizes and requires said property to automatically transfer. And then it'll also authorize the filing of all proper notification and documents with the Office of Lieutenant Governor that's required by state code.
Okay.
So there you go.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, now we'll go back up to the update on the John Wesley Powell musical.
Okay.
John?
Do you want to give Joseph a call? I'll give you do we have
He's got that.
that phone work?
I think so.
So if you remember on this one, because I'm kind of doing this, the county has retained an outside attorney to advise them on this. So let me pull it.
Not quite 11:30. Scott, do you have that contract? So we can sign it. Thank you.
Let me send them another text.
Hi, it's Joseph.
Hey, Joseph, it's John Sturmer. How are you?
I am well, thanks.
Good, good. We have you on speakerphone. We're in a public meeting. I have the mic turned on, so hopefully it'll pick up so people can hear. I'm going to go step down below since this is a personal matter for me, and then, as we've talked about in the past, you're here to advise the county commission. So let me step down to the other microphone.
Hey. Sorry, and John, I guess I should just kind of give an update right now. Is that what we're expecting?
That'd be great.
Sure, okay. This is Joseph. I think that since the last time we spoke, most of our efforts have been working on getting a license from Alan, and that hasn't gone quite as smoothly as I think we'd hoped. but my understanding is we're making progress, and I think part of the problem has just been Alan's people have not maybe been as familiar with the process. And, this is kind of a new thing for them, right? Licensing music to make a musical. But, so we're still kind of working with them, and really I think that's about the only update. John, maybe you can jog my memory if there's any other updates I should be saying, but.
I have a couple.
Alan's people to get a license.
So Alan, if you can, are you able to hear me from over here? I'm gonna get closer to the phone. I'll turn this mic on.
Yeah, it still works.
We'll just go off the same microphone. So yeah, Joseph, I have a couple of updates that I wanted to present to the county commission, and so you'll actually be hearing this for the first time as well.
Okay.
So the way that the musical is shaping out, there's 13 songs that we're wanting to use for the musical. There's a total of 10 co-writers on those 13 songs. And so as you know, Joseph, and then for the commission, for copyright matters, all co-writers are entitled to compensation based off of their percentage of contribution to any given song. Just so the commission knows, and for the audience, for just public announcement, some of the co-writers, I got kind of a list of artists that they have worked with, just so we're able to understand the caliber of writers here. They have written songs for Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood, Martina McBride, Tim McGraw, Bare Naked Ladies, Kenny Chesney, Josh Groban, Rascal Flatts, Blake Shelton, Montgomery Gentry, and Philip Phillips, just to name some of the artists, and I think everybody in the room would at least recognize one of those artists or bands. There's 40 pages of script written out of approximately, I'm anticipating that it'll be about 100 pages of total script. Last week, Joseph, just so you are aware, I had a call with Louis Thomas, who is the direct contact for Alan Doyle. We did talk about ways to work on the compensation. BMG and Peer Music have come forward to the county with a particular gross percentage amount. We're not going to disclose that now because we are securing property rights and negotiating those with other publishing companies. So I can update the commission and send you an email. If the commission needs it, we can do that in a closed session regarding property interests. But Joseph, I'll send that to you. In fact, I think I've already sent one to you that showed what BMG was wanting on percent of gross ticket sales. What Louis had come back with is to use that computation on what is anticipated for ticket sales and do a guaranteed minimum amount or a percentage of gross ticket sales, whichever is greater. But we base it off of a formula that I've already sent you, Joseph. Essentially, we have 11 shows. Usually, we're going to be going for about $12 to $15 per ticket, and approximately 350 tickets per show is what Outlaw Trail averages in their summer production. Of course, that fluctuates at the beginning of the shows, and then hopefully you're getting to sell out by the time you run the last few shows. So they usually average about 350 per show. So that's what we're talking about right now, is doing a guaranteed minimum amount or a percentage of gross ticket sales, whichever is greater. As far as getting the approvals for all the artists, there are three that we still need to directly get feedback from, but Alan Doyle is pretty familiar with those three artists. So when I talked to Louis last week, he said that yes, we could announce in the commission meeting today that it has all been green lighted. If by chance one artist just doesn't pull through for us, it will be as simple as me working with Alan Doyle and finding a song where we know we'll get approvals for and go. So at this point, the announcement is Alan's team and myself are ready to just announce that in 2024 this musical is a go, which is pretty exciting. And then the last update in 2024, of course, that's the 155th anniversary of the PAL expedition. And I have been briefly visiting with Travel and Tourism and others, including Doyle's team, about making and addressing the size and scope of the event in 2024. And also seeing what we can do to increase our regional advertising to try and pull people from the Wasatch Front to come out in greater numbers for the 155th anniversary and the River Festival that year. So a lot of planning still going on, and things that will need to be done in 2023 to make sure that we're all ready to go in 2024, but that's the status update.
Great. I appreciate the update, and thanks for all the work that you guys are doing on this project.
Joseph, did you have anything else based off of that update?
No, I think it sounds like we're good. So I guess I'll probably just be advising on finalizing these arrangements for the agreements.
You cut out. Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now we can. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was just saying that was a good status update from my perspective. That was more than I knew about, and sounds like I'll just be advising on finalizing arrangements to make sure we have the rights that we need.
Okay, very good. Well, what I can do then, Joseph, is like with BMG, I sent that over to you. Peer Music is the next one that we're up on. I'll get those emails over to you, and at that point, I think it'd be good for you to just jump into those discussions and finalizing those documents.
I saw the BMG email. Yeah, I'll jump in and we'll get them finished up.
Okay. So unless there's any other questions, that's what I wanted to present, just to let you all know the work that's been going on with it.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, we just appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joseph.
Yep, y'all take care.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, now we're back on, let's see, we're at ordinance number 228-2022-01. Adding requirements in place for temporary pipelines in the county's right-of-way.
Okay, Matt Kazir, Community Development. Commissioners will remember this ordinance was on the agenda last week. And there were some changes that were talked about last week at the meeting. And then after the meeting, I also got some changes that were given to me by Commissioner Stringer that had been talked about, I guess, by the different commissioners. So we'll kind of go through those quickly here. So let's jump to the item that was talked about at the last meeting, just to
Is that
Kinda
TV?
go in the
Can you
same
turn
order.
that one on above your head? Oh,
let's see.
it's kind of stuck. Does your cover work?
Looks like it. Yours doesn't.
Okay, so the change that was talked about at the last week's meetings down here at the bottom, and it was adding language for which right is superior, a permanent utility right or the transportation needs for the road or a temporary pipeline. And so I worked with John on this language here under S. So S is added in based on the discussion last week. And I'll just read what it says. Any grant of a temporary pipeline will be subordinate to the permanent utilities located within the public right-of-way and or the transportation needs of the county. Except in the case of a public health emergency, removal or relocation of the temporary pipeline must occur within 10 business days after written notice is given from the public utility or county road department. So that just lets the company or person know up front that, hey, if there's a need, the transportation part of the road or the permanent public utilities that are already there have superior right, and
What?
you'll have to move.
Matt, the only question I have on that is what if it's an emergency? What if there's a gas line breaks and that temporary line's on top of a gas line and they need to get in to get it fixed. We can't wait 10 days.
Right, and so that's, it says, except in the case of a health emergency, they'll have to do within 10 days.
Oh,
If there is
that's a health emergency.
So in a public health
Yeah, it would
emergency,
be.
they just need to remove it as quickly as they can, because we got to get in there.
Okay.
And the gas company might be the one getting in there and just pushing it aside or something, I don't know, to work with them to get that,
I just wondered about just making it an emergency. I mean, water's not gonna be, if it's a water line, that's not gonna be a public health. Just ask, I'm just asking.
Oh, no, so this instance
Clarification.
is the temporary line has to give way to the public utilities and the transportation there. So if there's a public health emergency on a gas line or a power line, or if there's a washout of a road and we need to get in there, that's going to be done as immediately as possible. And they'll give the temporary pipeline, I guess, owner as much notice as they can. But without that public health emergency, then they need to do it within 10 days. But in an emergency, and not knowing exactly what the emergency is, I mean, they may need to get in there immediately. Maybe they need to get in there within 24 hours, 48 hours. You know, it just kind of depends on what comes up in an emergency.
Well, we're dealing with a problem with these permanent people in our right of way too. They need to understand that if the county needs
Yeah, and the permanent ones are addressed in different
different,
statutes and road encroachment permits that they have to yield as well to the transportation need, and they incur the cost.
okay.
They have the benefit of being in there free, but we have the right to be able to take care of our transportation needs at their expense. If they don't want to take advantage of that, they could always go secure rights of way on the private landowners or through federal property if they don't want to have to yield to the county's transportation needs.
Does that answer your question with the one that Jeff's dealing with right now?
yeah, I think they're working through that, so.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify
Okay.
on this one.
And then the other change, we'll start from the bottom here. This one was discussed last week, but the draft that I sent out didn't have it in here. Under G, it was to change permits to renewals here. And that didn't get put in the draft. I'd forgot to make that little change there until this morning. So, but that was also talked about at the last meeting. And then the change that was given to me after the meeting is this change here. There was a lot of discussion on item B at the meeting, dealing with, what's running in the lines and how that falls and what the county stance is on that, and if the county approves it or the state approves it or whoever. And so I guess what we came to is that I guess we're treating this more like a truck driving across the road, where we're not really the ones regulating what's in the truck. There might be other rules that apply to that truck from UDOT or the Federal Department of Transportation. So that language is proposed to be changed to approval of a temporary pipeline is for the installation of the temporary pipeline within the county right-of-way, only in accordance with county codes. Temporary pipeline shall only be used in a manner that is consistent with the manufacturer's installation, use, and maintenance guidelines. And so those are the changes. The other changes that were shown last week have been put to black within this current draft. And so those are the three changes that are proposed from the draft that was presented at last week's commission meeting.
Okay. Okay. Any comments, concerns?
I do. Last week, we got into a discussion it resulted in discussion about starting to get into the pipe itself and permits and so on and so forth that apply to the people trying to move the water. After we had that discussion. I got some information from Matt Betts. He sent me something as promised. First thing that became clear is we shouldn't be looking at that. I started trying to figure out a better way of doing this without having the county take on the role of the regulator. And it seemed as though the best way to do that is treat the road kind of like any of our other facilities where the rodeo, they rent the facility, they make an agreement with us. We don't inspect their stock, we don't approve their stock, we don't do, they have to follow the rules that the regulating agency has. All we do is provide the venue, and in return, we expect compensation, and we also expect to be covered in the event of an accident or something else that the county does not get named, or if the county is named, that the vendor or the user covers the county. So I started down the road of looking at the pipe, and then I realized that was not the place we ought to go. At least I don't think it was. So I'm okay with what has been, the changes that have been made. I know that's not going to satisfy everybody, but I do think that the people that make use of the pipe need to conform to all of the standards for use of that pipe. If something happens, they're liable. And there is this temptation to get too involved, but I don't think that's the county's business. So that was what I came away with last week.
Okay.
The other part of the conversation on that was, on occasion, we do have the water and sewer district where they have to run sewer above ground in a temporary line while they're working on a project or something like that. So we didn't want to impede those types of things either, where they may have to do something like that, and that wouldn't be fresh or treated water or anything. It's raw sewage. So, and we had a case, was it you, Commissioner Haslam, that was saying there was a case where the sewer district had done that
They've
for
done it multiple times.
like 6 months or something like that they had while they were working on a project. So we didn't want the stuff within the ordinance to prevent something like that from happening as well, because the sewer still needs to operate. The sewer lines would still need to operate while they're updating or changing, maintaining their lines.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns?
Lots of concerns, but just I don't think there's any end to it, and I don't think the county ought to become the regulatory authority.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the ordinance 02/28/2022-01, adding requirements for placing temporary pipelines in county rights-of-way as presented, including authorization of signature.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Seeing none. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next is ordinance 11/14/2022-01, adding requirements for property maintenance in recorded subdivisions.
Okay, Commissioners, if you remember, we talked about, this was on the November 14th commission agenda. There was discussion on it, and then I believe there was also, I don't know if the public comment happened with the item itself on the agenda or during the public comment portion of the meeting. But there was some public comment either way on it. And there wasn't any directive on making changes at that point. And so I'm just, so it doesn't get lost, I'm bringing it back to see if something you want to move forward with, or something that isn't needed at this time, or changes that need to be made to it, or whatever, to just so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. This is something that has been recommended by the Planning Commission.
Okay. Any comments, concerns?
I did have a question. Last time it was brought up by public comment that some of the biggest offenders within the county are businesses otherwise. There's no change to this ordinance based on any of those comments last time through?
Not how it's currently drafted.
Okay. It seemed like kind of a boutique sort of ordinance that addressed a very specific problem for very few, and did not in fact address the forests of late summer kochia that adorn some of our street corners and a lot of our property, that they're spreading seed. We also, I think as you looked, you probably found that the ordinance, there are other ordinances with respect to noxious weeds. Because one, the puncture vine, goat head, that doesn't need to have any, first of all, you never worry about a stubble height because it's that tall and can be 20 square feet. But it's noxious and it's eradicated under an existing ordinance. So I'm not sure that this, in my mind, this ordinance isn't really ripe. And again, I'm primarily affected. I live in an area that most of the people, we don't have an official homeowners association, but we take care of stuff. And so we're the ones that would be sitting on without need. It was also raised that homeowners associations could be another solution. Either way, you turn management of your property over to somebody else, and it sounds like a good idea today, but a few years from now with new administration in either one, it can get tyrannical. So I think it needs to be relooked.
Okay.
You know, I have my questions about it and concerns, and I'm not thinking that's, well, part of it I don't even like, but we've discussed this for, twice now. Is that correct? I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to bring it up so we can get this either voted on, put down, or put into place. Ordinance number 2022-01, adding requirements for property maintenance in recorded subdivisions would be my motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So what was the motion? So I understand what the motion was?
To approve.
it.
To approve it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Nay.
What, did you vote?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Mm-hmm. Or
Ask
opposed,
for
excuse me.
those.
All in favor or opposed, either one. And I'm
Opposed?
saying opposed.
Okay.
Opposed. So motion failed.
Okay, so just to clarify, maybe it's a question for John, does that mean that this one's done with, and I guess Planning Commission could recommend something different to bring back to them, or?
In the future, they could always,
Okay,
they can keep making recommendations if they want, but this one's
been
Dead now.
decided on.
Sounds like they just need to add some
Yeah.
other properties.
I'm not able to thumb through here, but wasn't there some kind of height restriction on something in the front yard?
On the weeds, yeah.
And said some of the weeds that are just as loathsome as can be won't get that high.
Yeah,
So I think that needs some work.
okay. So I just wanted to make sure that I proceed in the proper manner. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, we have 2 closed sessions today, but we do have some board appointments that we need to make, so we'll do them now.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have a couple that are, these are mostly replacements. We have, or not real replacements, they're like Planning Commission. There are actually 3 vacancies, 1 regular member and 2 alternates, and only 2 people applied, and 2 of those were people that were on the board. So I would make the motion with respect to Planning Commission that Bobby Ustavine be appointed as an alternate for a term that begins January 1st, 2023, ends December 31st, 2026, and that Jesse McKee be reappointed to the board for the same term, January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2026.
Okay, we have a motion?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
I
passed.
have Tri-County Health. There is one Uintah County member on that board. Term limit is 4 years. I move to reappoint Leslie Woodward to the board for a term beginning January 1st, 2023, ending December 31st, 2027.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
And then on Animal Control Board, there is one at-large member. The current person did not reapply. Move to appoint Deborah Hamaker, who was an animal control officer, to a term that begins, it's a 2-year term that begins January 1st, 2023, ends December 31st, 2025.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Another one?
This one is not really mine. It's the Economic Development Board. I'm not even sure how many members are on that, but I think I'm doing it because you may have to, as chairman, you may have to opt out or.
Yeah, I'm gonna, we need 5 out of the 6.
Okay. Again, I don't even know how big this board is. 5 members are needed. Term limit is 4 years. These are the ones requested by Economic Development. Lori Haslam, Lisa Wallace, Heather Lowry, Nate Zillis, Todd Massey. Move to appoint to a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2023, expiring December 31st, 2027.
I'll second it.
So, John, how do I do that, where Lori's my spouse? Myself?
If you're not concerned about voting on all of them, you could just recuse yourself out of that.
I'm just gonna recuse myself from the whole thing.
You can do that and then just let the 2 handle it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
So we'll just need the record to show that he recused himself on it. Yeah.
Okay, is that all the board appointments?
That's it.
Okay, let's go ahead and do public comment before we go into closed session, so you don't have to come back afterwards. State your name.
Name is Jim Lekas. I'm an affected landowner by the temporary pipeline ordinance. that was just adopted. I was surprised that as a active participant in the drafting of this ordinance, I wasn't given an opportunity to comment before the voting. I would like to say that I'm very concerned that my previous concerns about what type of water might be running through my front yard just was changed to anything in a pipeline, so long as it meets the manufacturer's recommendations. So now I could have crude oil or natural gas in a surface line in my driveway and across my front yard that no manufacturer's recommendations address being run over by a vehicle or caught by my tractor and plow. So I don't think it adequately addressed the concerns that we had on letter B on this ordinance. But in light of it already being passed, and for those of you that may not be thinking that this ordinance could affect you, it's something that could come to you and your farm pasture or your home, depending on how the oil and gas business expands in the area. So I guess what I would like to ask is that the remaining commissioner and our commissioners-elect be open-minded, that as we see how this ordinance is utilized by industry, that if it turns out to be a problem, they be willing to re-engage and perhaps amend this ordinance. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period and go back up to the need. It looks like we have a need for 2 today.
So, Mr. Chair, I received a text this morning from our attorney that handles essentially assessed cases, and I talked to Barbara about it. She is sick and barely making it into any office stuff, so she asked if we could postpone that by 1 week.
Okay.
So we can just table that closed session if the commission is so inclined, and so we'll only need the one on character professional competence.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recess into closed session for the purpose of discussing character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, and do so into the small conference room by the commission office, convene there in 12:15, and upon completion of that discussion, return to open session and adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Guess we'll move to the small conference room.